The stars above the capital world of Zoreth burned bright. Ships moved in steady lines around the giant command station. The Galactic Empire's fleet was fully prepared. It was the largest battle group ever assembled, over 9,000 ships, hundreds of carriers, dreadnoughts, and command vessels. All were pointed in one direction toward Earth. Inside the Imperial High Command Chamber, Supreme Admiral Verken stood tall in front of his officers. His silver uniform shimmered under the lights. His face was cold, but pride shone in his eyes. "Humanity has grown bold," Verken said. "They've refused to pay tribute. They've ignored our summons. Now they will face the price of defiance." Some officers nodded. Others stayed silent, unsure. There were rumors, whispers of lost scout fleets, a cruiser that went dark after crossing into Terran space. But no one dared speak against Verken. His power was absolute. "Launch the fleet," he ordered Far. Away, on a quiet moon orbiting a gas giant near Earth space, a lone Terran listening post picked up the incoming armada. Officer Lane, a young human working the night shift, stared at the screen. "Sir, I think you need to see this." Commander Holt leaned over her shoulder. On the screen was a mass of red signals moving toward them, slow but steady. Thousands of ships. He didn't panic. He didn't shout. He smiled. "Looks like they've finally decided to show up," Holt said calmly. "Send the signal to Home Command. Use code Black Ice." Lane nodded, fingers moving quickly. Holt stood and looked out. The window. Stars twinkled peacefully. Somewhere out there, Earth's real defenses were waiting hidden, silent, and fully prepared. Back at the Empire fleet, Supreme Admiral Verken watched the tactical map. Human response? "None, sir," one officer replied. "They're either too weak or too afraid." Verken smirked. "Good, then this will be fast." But far from the Empire's view, cloaked Terran drones began moving. They scanned each incoming ship, marking them, tracking them, building a map. Terran AI systems updated, silently, calculating strike positions, weak spots, and escape routes. Earth's fleet hadn't launched yet, but they already knew everything they needed. On Earth, inside a command bunker, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Kane stood in front of a massive screen. Officers sat quietly, observing. "The Empire made their move," someone said. Kane nodded. "Let them come." A young officer looked worried. "Should we warn the colonies?" "No," Kane replied. "They need to see what happens when someone underestimates Earth." The Empire fleet moved into the outer sectors of Terran-controlled space. They sent a message. "This is the Galactic Empire. Surrender now. Hand over your leaders. We promise mercy." They waited. No reply came. Instead, their long-range sensors began failing. One by one, their scout ships vanished. Communications dropped. Navigation grew glitchy. Something was wrong, but they couldn't see it. Inside the Empire's main ship, Admiral Verken frowned. "Why is our system flickering?" "No interference detected," the tech officer said. "But our drones stopped reporting back." "Send new ones." "Already did. They're not responding either." Verken narrowed his eyes. "Keep moving. Let them see us." He didn't know it yet, but Earth had already seen them. Their faces, their ships, their fleet structure. Can Earth was smiling. In deep space. A Terran warship, the size of a mountain, began to stir. Its systems powered up in silence. Its hull was black, smooth, and terrifying. No lights. No signals. No name painted on its side. Its AI spoke calmly to its crew. Targets marked. Orders confirmed. Wait for the smile. On board, a quiet captain stood by the large central window. He held a cup of hot coffee in one hand. He chuckled and said, "They're not ready." Behind him, The crew smirked. The Empire didn't know what was coming. Asterisk, the stars looked calm, but the Empire's admiral was not. Admiral Verkin stood on the bridge of his flagship Iron Flame, staring at the giant tactical screen. It showed only silence. Too much silence. "We are in Terran territory now," the sensor officer reported. Still no response. No resistance. "Then they're cowards," Verkin growled. "Keep moving forward. Full formation. No delays." Ships spread out across. A wide pattern. Carriers in the center. Destroyers in front. Artillery ships in the back. Everything by the book. Everything loud and proud, and completely exposed. But in the shadows of a dead asteroid belt, hidden among black rocks and cold metal, something ancient watched them. Terran stealth satellites blinked softly. They were motionless, undetectable. Their signals were like ghosts passing, only through tight beams. Thousands of them floated silently, feeding data to Earth's deep command net. A Terran AI core named Odin processed every single scan, every fleet movement, every temperature fluctuation, every engine pulse. Inside Odin's chamber, deep under Earth's crust, a voice spoke. "They've opened their hands too early. Their formation is wide and weak." Another voice, colder, replied. "Mark weak points. Identify command paths. Begin prediction loops." The AI didn't hate the Empire. It didn't feel fear. It simply followed orders. Protect Earth. Predict threats. Eliminate risks. On the Iron Flame, something strange appeared. A tiny drone, shaped like a rock, drifted past the hull. At first, the crew ignored it. Then it blinked just once and vanished from view. "What was that?" the comms officer asked. "Just space debris, sir," someone replied. But Verkin didn't answer. His eyes were on the stars. Something felt wrong. The kind of wrong you can't explain, only feel. He walked to the edge of the bridge, looking into the vast black. "Where are they?" He muttered. On the far side of the sector, the Terran fleet waited. Unlike the Empire ships, Terran warcraft weren't painted gold or silver. They had no bright lights, no grand emblems. They were dark, sharp-edged, quiet monsters made of carbon black metal. They didn't fly in parade formations. They moved like hunters, tight, flexible, quiet. Each one carried technology the Empire couldn't dream of. Aboard the lead Terran vessel, TSV Umbra, the captain stood quietly at his post. His name wasn't important. Earth had many captains. But what he said echoed through every Terran ship. "They walked into the forest," he said. "Let's see how they handle the wolves." Meanwhile, the Empire's forward scouts kept disappearing. One scout ship, Arrow 9, had sent its last message just an hour ago. Nothing on scans, engines stable, continuing patrol. Now it was gone. No trace, no wreckage, no signal. "Sir, that's the third patrol lost in 40 minutes. The officer said. Admiral Verkin's hands tightened behind his back. "Any signs of a fight?" "No, sir. Not even a warning. They're just gone." Verkin turned to his aide. "They're playing with us, trying to shake us. They want us afraid." The aide didn't speak. He had served long enough to know. This wasn't fear, was precision. Suddenly, a blip appeared on the edge of the screen. Just one. A single unknown contact. Small, silent, not transmitting. "Finally," Verkin said. "Get me visuals." The screen showed a single Terran ship. It floated still. Number. Movement. No lights. And then it rotated just a little and faced them. Its front lights blinked once. 3 soft pulses. Then the ship disappeared again. "What does that mean?" someone asked. No one answered. Not yet. But on the Terran side, every ship in the fleet received the code, the blink pattern, 3 pulses. the signal that meant they're in position. Targets locked. Back aboard TSV Umbra, the captain smiled. He sipped his coffee and whispered, "Showtime's close." The Empire still saw nothing. No fighters, no weapons, no fire dot, just dot dot. Darkness dot and smiles dot, because every Terran ship had. Gone silent dot waiting dot like wolves in the woods. And the Empire? They were still walking forward blind. Asterisk. The silence was louder than any threat. On the Iron Flame, Admiral Verkin paced slowly. The stars around them were calm, but something in his gut twisted. His fleet had moved deep into Terran space, but nothing had happened. No resistance. Number. Voice. Not even a warning. Just one Terran ship had appeared, blinked 3 times, and vanished. What do those blinks mean? Verkin asked again. No one answered. His officers looked nervous now. The calm they once wore had turned into sweat. In orbit around a frozen moon, hidden inside a cloud of sensor-jamming particles, the TSV Umbra remained still. No lights, no signals. Just waiting. Captain Ray stood on the bridge, watching holographic feeds from every drone and an eye node across the sector. Terran Command had eyes everywhere. They're walking forward, blind, his second-in-command said. Ray nodded. They always do. Suddenly, a message appeared on their screen. Operation Ghostfire. Full lock. Are we go? The officer asked. Ray smiled. Almost. Let's wait for their mistake. That mistake came just moments later. On the Empire's left flank, an impatient destroyer captain named Rowlett broke formation. These Terrans are hiding like cowards, he said. Let's flush them out. Against orders, he fired a wide-area plasma burst into the nearby asteroid field. The blast lit up the sector, vaporizing rock and sending a shockwave across space. The command bridge of Iron Flame lit with warnings. Sir? Unauthorized fire from Destroyer 77. Verkin slammed his fist on the control rail. What is he doing? Recall him. But it was too late. Raleigh had drawn blood in a forest full of wolves. In the darkness, beyond the asteroid field, something opened its eyes. The nearest Terran ship didn't return fire. It didn't speak. It just moved. So fast. Too fast. Cloaked thrusters lit for half a second. Then silence. Then a beam of light narrow and white cut through space. Rowlett's destroyer didn't even have time to scream. One moment it existed. Next, it was gone. Back on Iron Flame. Alarm screamed. Destroyer 77 lost. Verkin spun around. How? From what? The sensor officer's hands shook. There's nothing on our scopes, sir. No ship, no heat, no trace. Then, for the first time, a voice came through their system. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was human. And calm. You were warned. This is not your space. This is not your war. Everyone froze. Admiral Verkin's face went pale. The voice was so relaxed. Not angry. Not shouting. Just disappointed. Then it happened. A storm began. From nowhere, the Terran fleet revealed itself. First 1 ship. Then 5. Then 20. They came out of the darkness like sharks, sleek, black, and silent. Their weapons didn't charge with color or sound. They simply fired fast, accurate, whole. In the first 10 seconds. 3 Empire cruisers were destroyed. In the next 10. A full carrier exploded. No warning. No mercy. Just cold precision. The Terrans didn't even speak again. Inside the Terran command ship, Captain Ray watched the battle with calm eyes. They're confused, his officer said. No idea where we are. Ray nodded, because we're everywhere. And nowhere. The Terran ships didn't follow patterns. They weaved between enemy lines like ghosts. Each time they vanished, another Empire ship died. Verkin's voice cracked. Pull the fleet back. Form a shield wall. Now. But it was chaos. Ships spun in fear. Officers yelled. Some ships fired wildly into space, hitting their own. It didn't matter. The Terrans had already chosen who would die. Then, from the Terran side, one final message was sent. It reached every Empire screen at once. A short video. Grainy. Old. From Earth. It showed a young human soldier sitting under a tree, smiling softly as children laughed in the background. Text appeared. We do not enjoy war, but we do it better than anyone. The video ended, and that's when the Terran main cannon fired. A beam brighter than the sun tore through the center of the Empire's fleet. The explosion was silent in space. But across the stars, the message was heard. The beam was pure light, thin, fast, and final. From the front of the Terran flagship, the cannon had opened with no charge up, no warning hum, and no hesitation. It sliced through vacuum like a whisper, then ripped apart the Empire's command wing like paper. 5 cruisers were gone. 3 dreadnoughts, silent wreckage. The center of the Empire's proud battle line shattered in one shot, and no one saw it coming. On the iron flame, Admiral Verkin grabbed the edge of his chair to keep from falling. The ship rocked as shockwaves from nearby detonations rippled through space. Status: what hit us? Unknown weapon. No heat trail, no energy buildup. It just appeared and erased our core line. Where did it come from? The officer stared blankly at the screen. Everywhere, he whispered. It came from everywhere. Verkin turned, jaw locked in disbelief. Get our ships in tight. Defensive formation Gamma. But it was already too late. The Terran strike had only just begun. The surviving Empire ships tried to regroup. Commanders screamed over open comms, barking orders, calling for support. But something strange started happening. Their signals stopped working. Their voices cut off mid-sentence. Their coordinates gone. Screens dash flickering. It wasn't a glitch. It was deliberate. Terran signal jammers didn't block. They infiltrated. Empire systems flickered as hidden Terran programs flooded their networks. Cameras turned black. Radars spun uselessly. The Empire was blind, floating in darkness. And still, no Terran voices came, only fire. Above a shattered moon, 3 Terran ships danced like predators around a crippled battleship. One ship fired a kinetic spike, just a dense rod of metal. But fast as a comet. It punched through the battleship, tearing it open from nose to engine. The second Terran ship released a cloud of tiny drone shards of metal with minds of their own. They sliced through enemy armor like knives through silk. The third ship didn't fire at all. It broadcasted a soft tone inaudible to most, but heard by the Empire's eye. It carried a simple order: sleep. The battleship shut down completely. Systems dead. Engines off. Crew helpless. Inside the Empire's fleet, fear spread faster than fire. Some captains tried to retreat. Others spun in circles, hoping to fire at something, anything. But the Terrans were never in front of them. They were always behind, always beside, always watching. The Empire was fighting ghosts. Meanwhile, on Earth, inside the deep command center, Admiral Kane stood calmly as the battle fed live onto a massive screen. A young officer turned to him. Sir? They didn't even raise shields. They didn't need to, Kane replied. Do we send a warning? Kane shook his head. No, they already got one. This is the lesson. On the TSV Umbra, Captain Ray leaned back in his chair. Target phase complete, his officer said. Enemy resistance? Minimal. They're broken. Ray gave a quiet nod. He didn't celebrate. There was nothing glorious in this. Empire had come expecting a fight. Instead, they walked into a hunt. Back on the Iron Flame, Verkin watched his fleet vanish one ship at a time. He saw a support frigate implode. Carrier split down the middle. He saw his best friend's ship disintegrate into dust without even a warning flare. The Admiral sat down slowly. He had made a mistake. He had believed the stories about human weakness. He had ignored the quiet warnings. He had forgotten Earth's greatest weapon. They didn't need to brag. And then, for the first time, the Terran spoke again. A signal, broadcast on every open channel. The voice was calm, measured, almost kind. This is the Terran Strategic Fleet. Your force has been neutralized. You are no longer a threat. We do not require surrender. We require silence. Turn around. Do not return. There were no insults, no threats. Just truth. Aboard his burning ship, Verkin finally understood. It wasn't the firepower that had won Dot. It was the confidence, the planning, the patience, and the terrifying calm of a species that only smiled when it was already too late. Asterisk. Smoke drifted across the command deck of the Iron Flame. The once bright bridge lights were dimmed, flickering weakly. Sparks danced from broken panels, and a low hum of failure pulsed from somewhere beneath the floor. Admiral Verkin sat motionless in his chair, not from injury but shock. Across the vast space before him, the fleet he had commanded for decades was now wreckage. Floating husks of metal, lifeless, silent. Over 9,000 ships had come to remind Earth of its place. Now, less than 300 remained, and most were barely alive. Sir, a junior officer said in a trembling voice, our outer fleet is gone. Rear guard was cut down in 12 seconds. Engineering says we've lost power to all long-range comms. Verkin didn't answer at first. Then he stood slowly as if gravity itself had grown heavier. Begin fallback protocols, he said quietly. Whatever's left, pull it back, now. But sir, the engines, use what you have. Abandon the disabled. Prioritize surviving crews. We've already lost. On the far side of the battlefield, Terran ships drifted like silent predators. Didn't pursue. They didn't taunt. They simply observed. Their weapons remained charged, but idle. No cheers. No speeches. No signs of victory. They didn't need to say anything. The silence alone was powerful enough. Inside the TSV Umbra, Captain Ray leaned forward slightly. The Empire is pulling back, his officer reported. Their formation is broken. Most ships aren't even armed anymore. Ray nodded. Let them go. Another officer frowned. Should we finish them? Ray stared at the screen for a long moment before replying, no. A message spoken in fire fades quickly. But silence? Silence lingers. He turned away from the screen. Send the final mark. Passive code only. Back on the Iron Flame, alarms suddenly stopped. Monitors blinked once. A quiet sound echoed on every deck. Soft chime. Then a message appeared on every screen. You have seen our strength. Now remember our silence. This is mercy. Do not return. That was it. No signature. No name. Just finality. Verkin stared at the message. Heart pounding. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't a threat. It was a closing statement. Elsewhere, small surviving. Empire ships began fleeing in random directions. Some limped away with ruptured hulls. Others left escape pods drifting behind them. A few didn't run at all. They powered down, opened all frequencies, and sent the same message. We surrender. We will not resist. We are sorry. But no Terran ship answered. Not one. In the galactic capital of Vela Prime. A storm of silence fell over the central council chambers. Live footage of the battle had just ended. Dozens of alien species sat frozen, staring at the black screen. Slow horror filled the room as realization settled. Like ice on their skin, the Terrans hadn't just survived. They had controlled every moment, every second. Every inch of space, they hadn't reacted. They had orchestrated it all. And worse, they hadn't bragged. That was the most terrifying part. One council member, a tall, red-skinned diplomat, broke the silence. They didn't destroy all of them, he whispered. They let them go. Another said, "Why?" A third replied, softly, "Because now they've shown us something worse than power." And what's that? Restraint. Back on Earth, deep beneath the surface, Admiral Kane stood in front of the glowing war table. The Terran flag hovered above the last battle report, his hands folded behind his back. "Message delivered?" he asked. "Yes, sir," said the Cones. "Officer, all enemy vessels still moving are leaving our sector. No sign of pursuit." Kane nodded once, then turned to leave. "Lock fleet status to black. No public footage. Let them imagine what we didn't show." In orbit, among the wreckage of ships and Pride, Terran drones moved silently, cleaning, scanning, salvaging. No one would ever find Terran bodies. No one would ever find wrecked Terran ships. To the rest of the galaxy, it would appear as if nothing touched them. Just shadows, and a single, quiet smile that had preceded the end. Asterisk, the war was over, but the echo of the battle had only just begun. Across the galaxy, from royal courts to pirate dens, from deep mining colonies to diplomatic stations, screens flickered to life. Unmarked Terran satellites, quiet and ancient, reawakened across hundreds of systems. They weren't weapons. They were messengers. And every one of them played the same footage once. A black screen, then a slow fade into starlight. No music, no voice. Just a simple view. The Galactic Empire fleet entering Terran space. In full glory, thousands of ships. Proud banners, confidence. Then flashes. Ships torn apart. A giant cannon firing, once erasing an entire line. Empire captains screaming for help. And then a human voice, not angry, not boastful. Just calm. "You stepped into our house. You knocked on our door. You asked for war. We answered. Then it ended. No celebration. No colors. No anthem. Just darkness. And then one line, 'This is your only warning.'" On the neutral world of Calvonis, a room full of merchants sat silent. None of them moved. One dropped his drink. A pirate queen on Eron's. Edge rewound the footage and played it again, then turned to her crew. "We don't cross Terran lines again. Ever." In the deep tribunal, leaders of the Allied sectors stared at each other. They had once debated joining the Empire's war effort. Now, they quietly deleted the vote records. The footage wasn't meant to scare, but it did, because there was no roar of pride in it. Only calculated silence. Humanity hadn't fought for victory. They had fought for proof, and the message was clear. Earth does not start wars, but Earth always finishes them. Meanwhile, inside the broken empire, chaos spread. Admiral Verkin's ruined ship drifted into dry dock. Half his face was wrapped in bandages. He couldn't speak for 3 days. When he finally did, his words were brief. "We were not fighting an army. We were dancing with death." He resigned the next day. The Emperor held an emergency council. Some screamed for revenge. Others demanded peace. A few dared to suggest surrender. But the most powerful voice in the room was from a silent screen showing the final Terran message. On loop, even the Emperor said nothing. Earth didn't call for peace talks. They didn't threaten a second wave. They simply disappeared. The Terran fleet vanished into deep space. Every satellite that had played the footage went dark. Every transmission cut off. Humanity had made its point. And now they waited. In hidden chambers of Terran command, leaders reviewed the galaxy's reaction. All major powers have stopped patrols near our zones, one officer reported. Several Empire allies have left the treaty. Good, Admiral Kane said. Let them fear the quiet. Do we respond to any messages? No, he replied. Let them sit in their own silence. That's the strategy now. No more words. Just patience. Captain Ray, now orbiting Earth aboard the TSV Umbra, stood looking at the blue planet. You think they understood? His second-in-command, asked Doc Ray, gave a small smile. Not yet. But they will. Fear fades, but respect? That lasts longer. He looked out into space. And the ones who didn't see the battle? They'll hear the stories. And believe them? They won't have to. The galaxy will carry our silence for us. Back in the galaxy's outer sectors, a small alien child pointed at a screen showing Earth. His mother pulled him away. We don't talk about that place, she whispered. Why? Because they don't like to be disturbed. The boy blinked. Are they monsters? She hesitated, then said softly, No, they're worse. They're quiet. And somewhere, far from known space, in the dark between stars, Terran ships rested in silence still, cloaked, watching. They weren't there to attack. They weren't there to speak. They were just present, because Earth had learned long ago, sometimes the strongest message is the one you don't send twice. Asterisk. Long before the battle, they laughed. The Galactic Empire laughed at Earth's silence, at their diplomacy, a refusal to show muscle. They laughed at humanity's small territory, at their peaceful broadcasts, at their warnings. Terrans are soft, said one emperor. Farmers with guns, said a general. Talkers, not warriors. And now? Now, the galaxy was quiet, because the ones who laughed were either gone, running, or too afraid to speak. In the shattered halls of the Empire's Central Command, few dared to even say the word Terran. A young intelligence officer sat alone in a dusty archive room, watching a still image from the battle frame by frame. In it, a single Terran ship hovered in the dark. Silent. Its hull untouched, its front cannon still glowing from its last shot. The officer blinked. There were no escape pods, she whispered. They didn't eject anyone. They didn't lose anyone. She closed the file and locked it. In a far corner of the galaxy, a black market dealer tried to sell wreckage marked with the Terran Fleet's code. No. One bought it. One alien screamed and fled the stall. Another demanded it be destroyed on sight. No. One wanted anything that belonged to Earth. Not out of hate. But fear. They didn't want to be noticed. On the edge of known space, a diplomatic cruiser carrying 5 ambassadors dared to fly close to Terran territory. They dropped a simple box. Inside was a message etched on metal. We respect your silence. We thank you for your mercy. We will not return. The box was retrieved. No reply was ever sent. The ship that retrieved it? It was never seen again either. Not because it was destroyed, but because it vanished back into the void. Humanity had become something else now. Not rulers. Not conquerors. Not allies. They had become a presence, a shadow at the edge of every plan, every war, every map. People no longer asked, can we take this system? They now asked, is this near Earth? In a dark classroom on a distant colony world, a teacher showed a star chart to her students. One small red circle was drawn in the center. It was unlabeled. What's that? A student asked. The teacher paused, then answered with a serious tone. We do not speak of that zone. That space belongs to the ones who ended the Empire in less than a day. Another child raised his hand. What are they called? A long silence. Then she replied, Terrans. Far beneath Earth's surface, Admiral Kane walked alone through a quiet hallway. No guards. No cameras. Just silence. He stopped at a sealed vault door. pressed his hand on the pedal. It opened with a whisper. Inside was an ancient object, a cracked Terran flag. Folded and placed in a steel box. It had been carried on the first colony ship. It was never meant for war, but it had become the symbol of what happens when peace is mistaken for weakness. Kane stared at it. For a while. Ben whispered, "They'll never laugh again." And somewhere beyond the stars, in the deep cold of space, the Terran fleet waited. Still hidden, still silent, still smiling, because they had proven what needed to be proven. They had spoken with fire, then vanished into darkness. And now the galaxy remembered. Not the roar of war, but the smile before it began. Asterisk.